In the Latter-day Saint movement, the Quorum of the 12 is one of the governing bodies of the church hierarchy organized by the movement's founder Joseph Smith, and patterned after the 12 Apostles of Christ. Members are considered to be apostles, with a special calling to be evangelistic ambassadors to the world. The 12 were designated to be a body of traveling councillors with jurisdiction outside areas where the church was formally organized. The 12 were designated as being equal in authority to the First Presidency, the 70, the standing Presiding High Council, and the High Councils of the various stakes. After the death of Joseph Smith in 1844, permanent schisms formed in the movement, resulting in the formation of various churches, many of which retained some version of the Quorum of the 12. Members of the Quorum prior to 1844. In 1835, the 3 witnesses were asked by Joseph Smith to select the original 12 members of the church's Quorum of the 12. They announced their choices at a meeting on February 14, 1835. The 3 witnesses also ordained the 12 chosen men to the priesthood office of apostle by the laying on of hands, the ordinations taking place between February and April 1835. Below is a list of members of the Quorum prior to the succession crisis of 1844. A total of 18 different men were members of the Quorum during this period. In 1838, 5 members of the Quorum were excommunicated. Of the 5, 2 of them would later rejoin with Brigham Young and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after the 1844 schism, but they would never assume the former places in the Quorum, while 2 others would join various sects and never return to the LDS Church. The 5th member left the Mormon movement completely. A 6th member of the Quorum was killed in 1838. After the 1844 schism, 10 of the then Quorum members followed Brigham Young to the Salt Lake Valley. 2 others left and joined other sects, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In the LDS Church, the Quorum of the 12 is officially referred to as the Quorum of the 12 Apostles or Council of the 12 Apostles. The group normally has a leadership role in the church that is second only to the church's First Presidency. The Quorum implicitly follows the First Presidency's policies and pronouncements, and its members are chosen by the First Presidency. However, when the First Presidency is dissolved, which occurs upon the death of the President of the Church, the Quorum of the 12 Apostles becomes the Church's governing body until they ordain a new President of the Church and he chooses councillors, which completes the reorganization of the First Presidency. Membership in the Quorum of the 12 is typically a lifetime calling. Community of Christ. In the Community of Christ, the Council of 12 Apostles is one of the governing bodies in the church hierarchy. They hold the priesthood office of apostle and are responsible for the evangelistic witness of the church. Apostles are also high priests in the Melchizedek priesthood of the church. The Church of Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ is the 3rd largest denomination that resulted from the 1844 succession crisis. At a conference in Green Elk, Pennsylvania, in July 1862, leaders of several branches in Pennsylvania, Ohio and Virginia came together and formally organized what they called the Church of Jesus Christ. William Bickerton presided over the conference. Bickerton's 2 councillors in the newly organized First Presidency were George Barnes and Charles Brown, who were ordained apostles. The members of the Quorum of the 12 at that organization were Arthur Bickerton, Thomas Bickerton, Alexander Bickerton, James Brown, Cummings Cherry, Benjamin Meadowcroft, Joseph Aston, Joseph Knox, William Cadman, James Nichols, John Nish and John Dixon. At the conference, George Barnes reported receiving the word of the Lord, which he related, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye my sons and daughters, and I have committed unto you the keys of the kingdom, therefore be ye faithful." In this church, the Quorum of 12 apostles are the chief governing officers. Currently, the president of the church and his 2 councillors are not separated from the quorum, as the total number of apostles in the quorum is 12, as specified in the scriptures. Apostles in this church are volunteers and are not given any compensation for the ministry. Church of Christ. In the Church of Christ, the Council of 12 serves as the head of the church. The church seeks to strictly follow the church organization of the Bible and the Book of Mormon, and teaches the church offices added by Joseph Smith after publication of the Book of Commandments, such as a president of the church and a First Presidency, were not consistent with the Bible and Book of Mormon, and therefore were not revelations from God. Remnant Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Remnant Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has an apostolic quorum that is, as yet, incomplete by design, as the Remnant Church seeks to renew the branch of the Latter-day Saint movement resulting from the 1860 reorganization. It is attempting to follow the exact pattern of that prior reorganization. As such, there are presently 5 vacancies in the quorum, as was the case in the Council of 12 of what is now the Community of Christ in the early 1860s. The First Presidency of the Remnant Church is not drawn from the apostles. Instead, the prophet, president of the church, is chosen by lineal descent from the movement's founder, Joseph Smith. The current members of the quorum are Ralph Damon, Gary I. Gottsinger, Don Burnett, Steve Church, Leland Collins, and Don Kite.